Hello guys, welcome back once again to a tutorial. It's been a while since I made one, but that happens when you run a business and you have to take care of it. Today's tutorial, I would like to talk to you about filing your flight plan on either IVAO or VATSIM. As you can see, I've got both clients open. In today's tutorial, I would like to talk to you about the basics of filing your flight plan on to the online network so the ATC can see what your intentions are. I sometimes stand amazed when I look at some of the advice that some of the people share online, specifically talking about VATSIM in this regard, where I got involved with a discussion the other day where the one noob was trying to teach the other noob to file a flight plan, and at the end of the day he said you just have to guess the values. And I thought to myself, no, you can't do this. I ended up giving them a small tutorial right there on Facebook, and I thought maybe this is the best time to actually now do a video on it as well. So without further ado, let us start and compile a flight plan for ourselves. We are going to fly for Mango Airlines. My flight number is 810. We are flying from Oliver Tambo down to Cape Town, and our alternate will be George, definitely not Walvis Bay, which is in Namibia. We will be flying Sierra Juliet Alpha, which is a Mango 737-800, and we will set the company cost index at 20. Now Mango is usually full, so we're going to select full passengers. We are going to select, let's say, 1.5 ton of cargo, and then we're going to move down to our actual route, which is correct. If you are wondering where we get that route, it is furnished and compiled and given to us by ATNS, our Air Traffic Navigational Services in South Africa. You can find them at atns.com if memory serves me right, and they've got a route matrix that they publish which governs the routes used in South Africa, just as a bit of additional information there. Alright, we've obviously analyzed the route. According to the AirAC, it is a usable route, it's valid. We can also see from the display here that it is perfect. Now guys, there is a couple of bits of information that you really need to take note of right now. Some brief. I've decided to use the Ryanair layout. It's got nothing to do with Ryanair. I'm not familiar with them. I've never had the pleasure of flying with them. This is simply a personal taste and decision based upon the fact that in this layout provides all the required information in an easy reachable place. I will show you when we look at the layout later. It just makes it easy for me to get the information that I need to file my flight plan. If you want to go a little bit deeper into the loading of the passengers and the cargo, and you want some other breakdown, I would highly recommend to use the KLM format. In the KLM format, you get most of the information, but there's one or two things that I just find easier to get from Ryanair. So I tend to jump between the two depending on the needs for the flight. So those are my two recommendations for OFP layouts, and I will show you later why I say so. The units that we use in our instance is kilograms. And guys, this is very, very important. You need to have some other contingency fuel setting. I personally use 5% or 15 minutes minimum. I really don't like running out of fuel before I get to my destination, so that for me is a must. The reserve fuel, there is in fact international legislation that governs what your reserve fuel should be. I am pretty sure that each airline will have its own SOP related to that. In our instance, we use a 45 minute minimum reserve fuel. Otherwise, you will not land legally. That is the bottom line. Alright, so we're going to generate a detailed navlog for ourselves, and I will explain that a little bit later. We are not going to do intercontinental flying. We're not going to fly very far. This is approximately an hour and a half in the air and maybe 20 minutes aside on the ground, if even. So it's not a long flight. We're not worried about tops and step climbs. Guys, if you really want to use the runway analysis, feel free. Anyway, you can use any of these. We're just not going to use them today. The last thing on this page that is absolutely crucial, and I mean, you can be a sim pilot without slitting your wrists if this isn't perfect, but if you really want to simulate proper airline operations, you have to keep your AIRAC up to date. We are currently at 1806, and that just means that it is 2018 and the sixth version of the AIRAC that has been published for this year, the sixth cycle. So please make sure that this AIRAC is up to date as well as the one in your aircraft. Otherwise you're not going to find some of the waypoints and other issues. So this is not really even debatable, to be quite honest. Alright, our next step is going to be to generate the OFP. That was quick. Right, so this is now what SimBrief gives us. This is the information that we are going to use in some form or another to actually fill in the blanks when it comes to filing our flight plans for the online networks. As you can see, it's given us a little bit of description on the payload that has been limited. There was obviously a weight issue. We're going to ignore that for now. We're just going to see that the map still shows exactly what we expect, and then we have some information here. I'm going to show you a trick that I use. You can obviously pull it from here as well. That is entirely up to you, but I personally prefer to download a PDF document that gives me the ability to actually highlight the important information and keep available on my desktop for future reference for when we are actually filing the flight plan and when we are actually programming the FMC. In case you are not familiar with SimBrief at all, I just want to tell you that most of the hard work has been done already. Now it's a question of identifying what you need and putting it into the appropriate place. One of the nice things about SimBrief is obviously the export function. You can literally export your flight plan into quite a few, there you go, quite a few different formats. It's more than a handful. You can read through every single one of these lines, and you can simply click on download and put the appropriate file in the appropriate folder on your PC, and your aircraft or your application like vPilot or IVAP is just going to read it. So there's really no reason to guess guys, no reason. One of the other nice things about SimBrief is you can, in fact, for Pilot Edge and VATSIM, pre-file a flight plan. I'm not familiar with the Pilot Edge one, but I do use the VATSIM one quite often. It's just a way to save even more time and just make everything work smoother and make everything more convenient, I suppose. Once you pre-file your flight plan from this point onwards, I will show you the screens later on as well, you literally have 2 hours to get into your plane, start your IVAP or X-Squawk box. As long as you use your ID and the appropriate corresponding call sign, it's going to marry this flight plan from SimBrief to the one that is now already pre-filed on the VATSIM network to your aircraft and you sitting there in it. So everything is done automatically and you don't even have to fill in anything. It all comes from here. So keep that in mind if you are flying on VATSIM. I will show this to you later on as well. The next step in our tutorial over here is going to be to look at the PDF that you can generate simply by clicking this button over here. The end result is going to look like this, and just for your information again, this is the Ryanair layout, simply because I like the way it looks. Alright, so whether you go to your IVAP flight plan, we can reset that generic flight plan, or whether you go to your I beg your pardon, flight plan over here in vPilot, there are certain basic things that you need to know and to fill in. And instead of guessing, guys, instead of just pretending you know what you're doing, let me show you how to get the actual information. So we know we're flying for Mango Airlines. We know the flight number is 810. And this is obviously part of the flight plan that you file with IVAO, whereas you only fill this information into vPilot once you make your actual connection. There is no room for it on this page, so let common sense prevail, guys. Then the next thing that we need to fill in is the departure airport. We are going to look at the destination airport, and this we can do at the bottom as well. Alright, the alternate airport is going to be FAGG and FABE for the second one. On VATSIM we only file one alternate, FAGG. Alright, then we can come and look at the actual route that's given to us over here. I can just copy the text and paste that into the route and into the route, and depending on the time between filing the flight plan, getting the OFP from SimBrief, then filling in this information into your online client, and then getting into the aircraft and getting going, the weather might have changed. The current SOP at the airport might suggest a different SID and star, so you don't have to put the SID and star. If you want to show the air traffic controller what is actually going on in your mind and to give him a hint as to what you want, it is up to you, and then you can simply go and add your star and your SID appropriately. Let me do this one as well first. Paste. Alright, so that That will give the air traffic controller a good idea as to what you are thinking about. Roggle 3 Bravo, correct. Alright. Now, funny enough, part of this discussion where the noobs were helping the other noobs and they were talking about guessing values, it included the flight level that you need to fly, and it included the speed that is required by the networks to be filled into their flight plans. And I don't see why you have to guess it when it's given to you. SimBrief obviously works out, it calculates the correct or reasonable values for you. So the first thing that we need to look at is going to be the speed. 457, as you can see in the last marked area, and the flight level is 340. No guessing, guys, please, no guessing. It's given to you and you can find it all in the section over there. The next step in the tutorial is to find the total time. Our total flight time is given to us here as the trip time. So we can enter 201. Don't know why it lost that information. There we go, back in place. Alright, time in route 2 hours and 01 minutes. The endurance that we need to look at now is over here. So at the point of takeoff, we will have an endurance of 3 hours and 51 minutes. 3 hours and 51 minutes. For IVAP, we can add the full house. Remember, we said we're taking a full complement of passengers, and the Mango Boeing can handle 186 packs. Also in IVAP, just for my own sanity, I've selected the Mango livery there, so that anybody who sees me on the network can actually identify me as Mango. The vPilot, once you connect to the network and you specify your call sign, should also do the model matching if that is set up correctly for you. Something that I have just noticed in the vPilot is voice is not selected to set it to send and receive. It's important that the air traffic controller needs to know whether you can send and receive voice, whether you can receive only, or whether you are text only. Guys, please make sure that is ticked. And that is it. From here on, you can actually save it. If you were connected to the network, you could click on File the Flight Plan. Don't do that before you connect it. It's not going to mean anything. You're just going to have to redo it. So you can save it, or you can clear it like we are going to do just now. So we're going to reset everything, and then we are going to go back to SimBrief and show you another way of doing this. Another way of doing this whole filing of the flight plan thing is to come to the download list to find your IVAO, IVAP or XIVAP file and then to download it into the appropriate directories onto your personal computer. VPilot, there's VPilot as well, beg your pardon. You can download it here as well. Now, one of the cool things that SimBrief has actually brought out not so long ago is this downloader. If you look at the downloader, you will see that it's got all the formats that is available on the net in here as well. I'm just going to hide the unused formats to give you an indication of what I am actually using. Each format has got its predefined folder. I'm going to leave it on here. You can pause the video to copy if you want to, because this is usually a heartache for people, even for myself, to be quite honest. If I format and reload my system, or for some reason something goes wrong, I have to reinstall the application or something, you know, it's good to have a reference as to where the download folders are actually located. So once you're happy with the flight plan and everything, we can simply export everything with one click, close it, and we can get rid of that little utility. So basically what that has done for us is it has saved the routes for us in the appropriate places. And there you go. No guessing. Sorry, I laugh every time I think about it. There's no guessing required, guys. You can just load it like that. And we can also do this for VPilot. Now, one thing that you will notice is that VPilot actually puts a lot of extra information into the remarks. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's totally irrelevant, but it's a nice to have. It makes you look more professional anyway. As a matter of interest, while we're on the remarks section, because I do a lot of training for new pilots and guys entering onto the networks, one thing that I would like to ask you is, guys, please add some other remark in the other information or remark section, depending on your network, specifying that you are a new pilot. There is no point in getting into a fist fight, getting frustrated, getting aggravated because you did not do this. We all started somewhere in this game, and no matter who you think you are or who you want to be, if you are not prepared to specify that you are a new pilot, you're going to get into trouble somewhere or another because of guys who've been here for a long time who just don't have any mercy or patience for you. So do yourself a favor and do the favor for the ATC and list yourself as a new pilot. You will then get the appropriate treatment that will make everybody happy. I would just like to run one or two other things by you before we revert back to the KLM OFP to show you that one and the pre-filing of the VATSIM flight plans. Just to come back here to IVAP, I see that when you import the flight plan, you obviously have to specify your call sign again. It is important to get your flight rules correctly. If you do not know what they are, you can click on the dots. You will see IFR, VFR, etc. This will be an IFR flight. The type of flight is going to be a scheduled, non-scheduled, general aviation, military or other. For us it is scheduled because it's an airliner. Alright, I have absolutely no idea. I did know what this was, but I cannot remember what this is. I'll have to look it up myself. Obviously, we've got a Boeing 738. We've got a medium wake turbulence. The equipment was filled in by SimBrief and also this section. Our departure times we haven't spoken about. That is obviously Zulu time, depending on when you are going to depart. And then I see it also did not fill in the second aerodrome on the import, and you can obviously then just set your liveries to match over here. And that's about it. From this point, there's no reason why you cannot simply send the flight plan and go and fly. So that takes care of IVAP for us. In terms of a VPilot, we're definitely not a heavy aircraft. The equipment suffix was set by the import. I had it on an S, but it was changed to an L for us, and that's it for VPilot as well. We can go and fly. Alright, so on to the next section. As mentioned earlier, you can do a pre-file of your flight plan on Pilot Edge and VATSIM. I'm going to show you the VATSIM one because I am familiar with that one. So once we click the button, it's going to fill in the blanks for us on the VATSIM I beg your pardon, the VATSIM flight plan pre-file page. No need for you to fill in anything except your name, your VATSIM ID, and your VATSIM password, so that the authentication can be done and filing on your behalf can be done as well. And there's nothing to it. If you connect to the VATSIM network within 2 hours, the marriage will take place behind the scenes, and you will be tied to your flight plan and vice versa, and you do not have to fill anything into your X-Squawk box or into your VPilot at all. And finally, if we go back to SimBrief, I just want to show you the difference in the OFPs. We can just go back by selecting the edit function of SimBrief over there, and give it a minute. We can now select KLM and simply generate the OFP again. So now once the OFP is generated, you can create your PDF, and that will give us the new format. Just to show you the difference, this is the original, this is the Ryanair one. To just blow it up a little bit, and then this is what we get on KLM. The notable difference for those people who are interested in getting a little bit more information regarding the seat configuration, the pax weight, the cargo weight, this second page, administrative notes, this is not included with the Ryanair OFP at all. You can go through it, it's just not here. So in order for you to see exactly what the seat configuration is and what the pax weight is, what the bag weight is, cargo weight is, you're going to have to use the KLM OFP for this bit of the information. I have actually just remembered something. In the beginning, when we created the OFP with SimBrief, I selected 1.5 tons as the cargo weight. Now in the KLM OFP over here, you can actually see that the cargo weight was changed. Remember, there was a remark that mentioned a change in the weight, and this is where you can actually see it. On the Ryanair OFP, you could not see exactly where the changes were made, so we lost almost half our cargo weight to get the weight and balance correct. And this is another nice feature of SimBrief that I really like, where it can help you fix a little problem like that. It could have big repercussions if it is not fixed anyway in the in the real world, I suppose. So guys, that's about it. That is what I could think of at this moment. If there is something I missed, if there's something else you want to know, please leave a comment, let me know, and I can change the video, or I can add something again. And until the next time, thank you for joining me. It was nice speaking with you again, and I hope this tutorial helps you to enjoy your flight simming a little bit more.